For the majority of human history, and even more so in this last century, and even more so than that in the last few decades, and including present time, there has been phenomenon that humans cannot explain, and not the least of these is the UFOs, or UAPs. The Pentagon is now declassifying information about them. They're being recorded in record numbers. Join me and my friends as we discuss the origins, explanations, and possible meaning of UFOs. Welcome back to Conspiracy Gamers, Episode 7. I'm your host, Sam, and your names are?
Cody.
And Stan.
Excellent. So, today is a big milestone, like I said. It's number 7. 7 happens to be my favorite number. I would like to talk today about UFOs, history of UFOs, and what it means for the world. Also, what they possibly are, and in every possible way. So, did you guys introduce yourselves, or did I skip that?
No, you did. We did that.
You did that? Okay, cool. Awesome. So, first off, I want to know everyone's thoughts on UFOs.
You want to go first, Stan?
I feel like they definitely exist. Like, there's statistically no way that we are the only intelligent life in the universe. And it's like even odds that one of those other life forms is advanced enough to be interstellar.
Yeah, especially considering that we're actually a younger solar system or universe, right?
Like our sun is, or our star is pretty young, considering.
So
I believe
agree.
also I think we're also located like dead smack in the middle of like the largest galactic void we know of. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about this, but pretty much everywhere else in the universe is far denser than we are when it comes to like particles and voids. So like space
we're
isn't
out there a bit.
Yeah, even the emptiest space or whatever, I think has like 10 atoms per square meter. Interestingly enough, but yeah. So, hello Bev. She's in every podcast that Stan's in. It's so interesting.
Well, she also lives here, so.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, so you guys are pretty sure that UFOs are probably tied to intelligent life then?
Close the window. Yeah.
Extraterrestrial. Okay. In origin.
Or also subterrestrial. That's also a possibility. That there is other life on the planet that's just managed to avoid us thus far, or lives
like the Sasquatch?
in a different existent space.
Sasquatch is unlikely.
No, I'm thinking more like something that lives in the Earth's mantle, like some sort of heat.
Right.
Life form.
Like in the Super Mario Brothers.
Evolved completely fucking differently than we did.
Yeah, I think
that's also entirely possible because we haven't even fully penetrated the Earth's crust, and the interior of the planet is fucking huge.
Right.
So,
I mean, that's actually interesting, and I'll be honest, I haven't really considered that one before. Subterrestrial life.
The cave people, yeah, which is weird because you'd think you would have thought of that, Sam.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, I've heard about a lot of stuff. I mean, I've heard of like Hollow Earth, but Stanley's not really talking about Hollow Earth. He's just talking about subterranean advanced civilizations.
Well, like if we evolved above the Earth, like it stands to reason that something could have evolved somewhere else. Like we can't be the only life form on Earth that has advanced to this level of intelligence. Or what? I mean, if we are, then cool. But it's entirely possible that something went the opposite direction, further down into the heated parts, and still survives there somehow because it just evolved to.
Yeah, or it especially if it evolved the use of technology, right? Being that's what sets us aside from most of the other species that we've managed to run into. I watched this guy on YouTube, Isaac MacArthur, and he talks about like, there might be a vast majority of intelligent, like highly intelligent species out there or whatever, but if they don't have the need to alter their environment to survive, such as if they're a natural born apex predator to their planet, that they'll probably never develop the need for technology in order to communicate with us ever, even though they'll be like vastly smarter than us. And then if we ever ran into them, they'd just eat us, right?
Yeah, the only thing making us an apex predator is our brains.
Yeah, and our need for technology. We're like natural
also our
born
numbers.
cyborgs.
Our ability to work together actually is huge.
Our numbers,
That's why the other
exactly.
sapiens never survived. That's why we killed them all.
Yeah,
Because we could cooperate in larger groups and coordinate better.
yeah. Except for the ones that were possibly superior to us, in which case we bred them into our genome. Like I believe Neanderthals are believed to be actually more cognitively capable than we are.
They had bigger brains or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and specifically the prefrontal cortex in their brain was much larger, and so they were probably more visually acute, able to control more of their muscle mass with their brain as well. Yeah. So they were probably like stronger per density, and then smarter than us. But we bred them into us, which is why I have a 6 head. But yeah,
I still got 4 head. One place.
yeah. So with UFOs, I mean, I grew up. I remember like in the libraries at school, right? There was always like that one book on like UFOs and Sasquatch and the Ogopogo.
Yep.
You know, usually got thrown in there with like cryptids and stuff. But in the recent years, there's been lots of declassified stuff coming out and more UFO sightings than ever before in recorded history, which makes sense being that there's so many recording devices out there. But
Yeah.
even just like the Pentagon like releasing that Tic Tac video and saying that, yeah, we have no idea who this is. That's a massive leap.
I don't think I heard that.
Really. I encourage anyone to look up the Tic Tac video. It's a video of a craft that looks like a Tic Tac, like it's a pill shaped, like a stubby cigar or whatever, and it just is moving at impossible speeds. And then it is able to, I forget what they call it, cross medium compatible or whatever, but it goes into the water at an extreme velocity without destroying itself. So, yeah, from air to water.
I do remember that actually. That was a few years back.
What did I do?
Probably just the Russians choked on your own saliva, probably.
Choking
You
on my
ever-
own excitement.
Did you ever read that paper clipping from like way back? It was supposed to be a UFO sighting, and they actually were shooting at it. The military started shooting at it, and it was in the newspapers.
Yeah.
Well, there was the Battle of
it was
LA.
over like a massive city. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
LA.
can't remember how
They
how
opened
long
fire at it, and like all the military got
Anti-aircraft,
disabled
too.
and-
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. So they were
It
able
was like
to.
the 40s or the 50s or something, right?
Yeah. So, when was that specifically? I could look it up, but it doesn't matter. But you're not wrong. It's back in like this. It's back in
There
I
was
believe
cameras. That's all I know.
it was post World War II, I believe, was it not?
It might have been
No, it might have-
1947 or something.
Yeah, I think it actually might have been World War II. Anyways, but yeah, so they had anti-aircraft guns trained all over the city there, and they had the spotlights up in the sky, and these people saw UFOs over top of the city of Los Angeles, and they started shooting at it with like the most outrageous amount of anti-aircraft rounds you've ever seen, tracer rounds, all of them, and none of them did anything to the UFOs. Like the UFOs were able to be either unaffected or dodge every single bullet, which is truly amazing. I think it was something ridiculous, like 10,000 or 100,000 casings were actually spent. Yeah, like a truly remarkable amount. The fact that like nothing could hit them to this day. Battle over Los. Yeah, there it is.
That's probably where that movie.
There's that one, right? There's also the Roswell crash, obviously. It's super famous.
Roswell,
Yeah. 100%. Let me pull this over onto this screen, and then I'm gonna pop this open. People can check that out. Oh, I'm just pulling up a full screen here.
Oh, you were doing
So-
the thing.
Yeah.
On your stream.
Yeah, 100%. Anyways, window capture gone. But oops, I'm doing everything wrong. Sorry, pod. Here we go. Boom, yay. So, Battle of Los Angeles. That was a really interesting one. What other UFO cases have you guys heard of? Obviously, there's the Roswell one that everyone talks about.
Yeah.
So
almost
a
everyone
craft.
knows what's-
Craft was
Operation
successfully
High Jump
shot
I
down.
mentioned to you before.
Oh, I actually know this one, Operation High Jump. So is that which
The
one is that? Is that where they go to?
Antarctic
Yeah,
expedition,
they
or
go
the
to the
battle group.
Antarctica, and
The
then
Battle Group comes back fucking tattered as hell.
yeah. Well, actually, the vast majority of them don't come back.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, tattered as hell. Like they got beat up pretty good. And the official thing was just that the weather was more than they could deal with, and the big blizzard came in and destroyed most of the resources and blah blah blah. But then a few years later, or I think it was even a few months later, a lieutenant and then maybe even Admiral Byrd himself made statements saying that they had encountered something that none of their weapons could move fast enough to be trained on, and it took out several battleships or several ships within a matter of seconds, and then just descended into the water, and they completely lost all track of it or something like that.
Yeah,
Atlantean
and
books.
that's the nature of UFOs. So, and then also the fact that like ever since we apparently started recovering this technology or whatever, our microchips have like went through the roof.
Right.
Yeah. Like the only reason that I'm talking to you telekinetically through a black portal right now is because of microchips and the progress that we've made with our, especially communication technology, but you know, electronics. Yeah. I mean, actually, even just the fact of like, imagine going back like 80 years and being, you know, go to a book publisher and a guy be like really stressed out about the new publication of his book and like getting the press just right and the print and all this stuff. And then you walk up to that guy and you're like, hey, man, I hope you know that your entire industry is irrelevant because in about 80 years, we're going to be able to make a copy of that book. We'll be able to make 1 million copies of it. We'll be able to do it in less than a minute. And then we'll be able to send it at light speed to the other end of the planet instantly. And he'd be like, you're a fucking crazy man. Get out of my bookstore. So, you know, we're doing straight up wizard shit with our technology. And yeah.
Well, yeah, we're living in like science fiction right now, honestly.
Yeah.
From 20
So,
years ago.
what do you guys know? What do you guys know about like UFOs, like or typical UFO behavior? The ones that seem legit.
Not much really, other than the fact that they can move annoyingly fast and in any direction.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Other typical things that you tend to hear about are electronics not working around them from electromagnetic fields or something messing up. And you hear quite a bit too that like treetops and stuff. Oh God, I can't believe my camera's going to do this for the entire pod, but whatever. Treetops and stuff will be like bending towards the thing.
Oh really?
So if it's above a bunch of trees, it'll bend towards the UFO instead of being pushed away by thrust. So whatever it's using to generate thrust, it tends to be attracted towards it. Also, they're dead silent. You never hear one.
That's one of the big ones is they don't make sound.
Yeah, they don't make sonic booms either, especially like, and yeah.
For taking off at like observable sonic speeds, apparently.
Yeah.
Then yeah, they make no noise. It's really
observable ultrasonic speeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they
the
got-
most
Which would lead credence to the your little comment you made about the Alcubierre drive being more plausible than we currently think, or than he even actually thinks.
well,
I
yeah.
was reading
I
up
mean,
on that. He doesn't believe it's possible. There are people that are creating more and more theories saying that it might be more possible than they initially conjectured. Just by changing some small elements of the theory, they're reducing the amount of energy required in order to create that field, that weird bubble. And
I mean,
Alcubierre himself is just like, from my understanding, there's no way it can be done. Probably not for centuries, if at all.
yeah.
Other people
but-
believe very differently.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, that was a while back now, Mr.
I was
Alcubierre.
gonna ask how long ago that was written.
If you go down to the history here, notes. History.
Well, in 2012 is that was when he made the statement that I just quoted off.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep, just about. But the more you look into the Alcubierre drive on the wiki, and the more of the stuff that you see, we start clicking the links, you click all those blue words and just keep reading, and you go on like this fun trip where it's all these things that are like, well, you would need this for it to work, and then you click on it, and then all of a sudden guys were given an award in mathematics for having figured that piece out, and we have pretty much everything we need to accomplish it within the realm of reality, except for exotic matter.
Yeah, we don't have a handle on the exotic matter. There's some theories regarding like the empty space between molecules or between atoms that could be like the negative matter or the negative space that they're looking for. That's like a pool of infinite energy, essentially. Where if we could find a way to use that, it's literally everywhere. And because it's negative space, or like he said, antimatter, or again, exotic matter, it is literally infinite energy. We just don't know how to use it yet.
Yeah. You guys know about the standard model in physics, right?
Like, what do you mean?
So the standard model has like your quarks, your up quarks, your down quarks. This is all like the building blocks of like the world, right? And then you have electrons and positrons and neutrons, so on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So we're missing one piece, which is the theoretical graviton.
We have no observable matter for gravity.
Yeah. And then also I believe there's extra dimensional particles that I think that's what it is. Anyways, they're in like a whole different piece of the universe, like in
it's like an unobservable space that we just can't access yet, but they're creating effects in our perceivable world. They're like there are things that are happening that we can perceive, but we don't know what's causing the effect, so we're just assuming that there's something that we can't perceive yet is creating that effect, which we can see.
Yeah, that's right. So,
like
but those ones, there's far more of the ones that we don't know about. But in the standard model, we're only worried about the ones that we actually can observe and go through in the third dimension. And we're missing, I believe it's just gravitons. So gravitons are the only one we're missing. I don't have the ability, nor am I a doctor, to actually like educate people about this. But if you watch a bunch of YouTube videos, it's pretty fun. Anyways, so I believe gravitons are, most people think they're linked to like it's an antimatter thing itself, right? Mm-hmm. And then we've created antimatter in the Large Hadron Collider for fractions of time or whatever. So we know that, so we know that the ability for a fraction of a second, but for an observable fraction of a second. And
progress.
Yeah. So, but we know that matter exists and that is in fact harnessable. So that is likely being used with the Alcubierre drive in order to make these things fly. That's what I love. I like to think that. And like I was telling you guys before the podcast started, I've seen a UFO at one point in my life, and I had no idea what it was. And then when you Googled it, this is back in like 2000, like 17 or 18, something like that. And anyways, it's just a completely remarkable thing. And then I seen it with my cousin in my truck, and it was like up close, shot at the truck, and then shot away into the cosmos, like just forever, so fast. It's the most unreal thing I've ever seen in my life. It's right up there with Northern Lights being funky. And then the next day in my village at Fort St. James, British Columbia, the whole town heard about a UFO in the sky in the middle of the day, and upset a bunch of kids on school buses were crying, and then everyone was observing it. It was just nuts. It was crazy. And that was the day after I saw the thing over top of the graveyard in Fort St. James. So I know that the UFOs or UAPs or whatever, they're a real thing, but it depends on who's using them and how. And also, I'd like to point out that just like for the Battle of Los Angeles stuff, right? When we were talking about that, like if they're not getting hit by these ammunitions, and they do have an Alcubierre drive, right? Ability to like basically side teleport as fast as they want. You'd never hit them if they had like AI controlled, right?
Well, it would even just be bending the space around them. You would hit that bent space, and it wouldn't affect anything on the inside.
Yeah, but just
that
roll
bubble,
around them.
If it's the same theory as the Alcubierre drive, the space around them is warped, and they're in what's the fucking word? Anyway, they're in a little bubble. There's like a shield around them that you can't penetrate with anything that's not also affected by that same kind of warping of space and time.
Yeah, and also actually this explains the saucer shape that people tend to what do you call that?
See.
One big flaw
that
with thinking
people tend
that normal UFOs that have been observed or perceived operate with the Alcubierre drive theory is that everyone working on the theory right now sort of agrees, or generally agrees, that any matter at the front point of I'm gonna look at this. Because I just read this and I was looking at it. It sounds damaging effect on destination there. Argued. Okay, so they've argued. Were an Alcubierre-driven ship to decelerate from superluminal speed, the particles that its bubble had gathered in transit would be released in energetic outbursts akin to the infinitely blue-shifted radiation hypothesized to occur at the inner event horizon of a Kerr black hole. Forward-facing particles would thereby be energetic enough to destroy anything at the destination directly in front of the ship.
Yeah, but that's in the case of a fully functional warp drive.
Or, well, that specific type of.
That would explain why they don't get hit, though. Yeah.
But yeah, the idea is just that that shift in reality picks up matter, like it draws matter into it, and when you decelerate that shift, that matter is still attached to the outside of your little
the
bubble,
strings of the
and it just
universe or
fucking
whatever are
launches
gonna
it.
get plucked like a guitar when you yeah, no, I get it, but it's just the closest thing I've ever seen to an explanation for whatever's behind the UAPs. The only other thing I've ever thought with UFOs is that maybe it's actually just a piece of a higher dimensional object slicing through the third dimension. Because when you slice through 3D objects or 4D objects through a third dimensional space, it kind of like warps, and then you'll see pinnacles and vertices take 90-degree turns and do it extremely fast. But that's just an object passing.
Or something
through your dimension.
Operating on could be observing or operating on a completely different plane of existence than what we see.
Mm-hmm.
So but then assuming that extraterrestrial life would be limited to human perception is a pretty bold assumption, because we have evolved inside of our little pocket of the universe.
Oh yeah,
to perceive things a certain way.
Dude, we don't even model data very well.
Planet. Exactly, like
yeah.
Our brains and our eyes lie to us about like 20% or 30% of all the things we actually see are completely made up.
Well, no, you don't see anything. That's what I've been listening to a lot of people working on AI and stuff now, and it's like you don't actually see, smell, taste, or hear anything. All you do is have a bunch of data receptors, and then your brain is creating a model. Mm-hmm. This is that whole, like, if I see the color red and you see the color red, are we seeing the same thing? And almost completely uncompromisingly, no, we are not seeing the same thing. We're creating two different models.
Yeah.
But then you and me agree on that. We're like, red, done. So we call it red or whatever. But there's almost no possible way that we're seeing the same thing. We see completely different
smell
things.
Probably smells slightly different to everybody. Like,
yep. Well, all the data,
everyone's
right?
Like, oh, that smells like popcorn. But how do you know that somebody else's smell for popcorn is exactly the same as your own? Because
they'll disagree with you too. And
exactly.
Some people think it smells good, and some people think that it smells bad.
Yeah.
But,
and we're just pieces of software.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We're just fleshy little data centers that kind of suck at our jobs.
Yeah. And then the whole me thing, right? Or the I, the self, right? That's just a software. That's a program running on a data model through a meat machine.
The ego.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part too, yeah. Yeah, extremely flawed. I mean, think about all the stuff between you and your computer monitor right now. There's like trillions of things between the two of you. You have no perception of them whatsoever, right? Or like you move through air and think of it as like not being there. You think of air as space, but it's not. It's actually completely full. There's no room for anything else. Yeah.
You actually push it out of the way when you move things through it.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. It's a fluid.
Shifting it around you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it's a gas the same way. Like, anyways, we're getting sidetracked.
We are. We do that really easily, but I mean, it is really interesting to think of us as being. Oh yeah, sorry. Our perception and our ability to perceive extraterrestrial life. Yeah. Yeah, especially if it was higher dimensional. I don't know. What other possible explanations do you guys think that you could come up with for UFOs?
Well, even just like look at the way they perceive time in Interstellar, just showing something like that, right? Where it was like all time was simultaneous, and it was just like sort of a grid pattern, and you could pick and choose sort of through things, but you got to see it kind of randomly. He wasn't very good at navigating it at the time.
That's right.
So the extraterrestrial life and the way they move and everything could be perceiving reality in a way like that, where we're seeing like, oh, it's the air and it's got all these fucking open space and they have to be decelerating or something, whereas to them it could literally just be they pick like a line of, say, this exotic matter that we can't identify or don't see, or something else that we don't even know exists, and they just move along that, and that's they're attached to like a rail system even that we just have no fucking clue it even exists. Like it can be something crazy like that. There's no fucking way we will ever know, but it's all completely theoretical. So
yeah, 100%. But what if it? So Alcubierre drive, that allows you to actually move through time too, does it not? Because it's space time. So if you bend, so you bend space time, you'd be able to go to any point in the future. So what if?
Theoretically.
Yeah.
But yes.
Or in the past? Or both? You could go both ways, couldn't you?
Debating about it, because there's still debate whether time is linear or not.
Yeah.
Nobody can agree on whether or not it's actually linear or if it's all simultaneous or.
Yeah, or if it's which dimension it belongs to as well, right? Because if time was fourth dimensional, then it is linear, but it's linear on every possible 90-degree rotation from any vertice, right? Which is a big problem.
But
that's
sort of like the
I think actually
idea.
though the most popular version of time is actually the box universe theory, right? Where it is basically a linear higher dimensional model. So it's like basically we all live within a hypercube, and so like every possible thing that's going to happen has already happened in that higher dimension, and then we just pass through it. So we go like you're you right here right now, but you're also everywhere you've ever been always and will be. You're kind of like moving through it in a third dimensional. Yeah. We're just like
perceive it at a certain speed, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, because we're like pieces of software running in
just like our compression rate or our decompression rate.
Would you explain the whole like your life flashes before your eyes bullshit when you die, stuff like that?
Yeah.
You know.
You're compressing that data too, right? It's like boop, boop, boop. Yeah. And you're just a piece of software going through life through a stream of data, and the universe is probably made up of a bunch of that's what and then the universe is just made up of like substrates, right? It's just substrates running substrates,
right?
Yeah, like a simulated universe.
Best trilogies ever.
Yeah. What if there's like techception though, right? What if like we're a simulation and then we create a simulation and that simulation creates a simulation?
Dude, we already have.
And then it
not played Sims.
No, 100%. Right? But what if the whole plan was like the world never makes it past 2040. We just want to like fix the climate change or whatever, and then like the simulation always like never figures it out and then dies in 2040. Yeah.
Right.
And then we're like, oh my god, run it again.
Run it again.
And eventually it'll like ripple through time and we'll all live through it. Yeah. Anyways,
you know? It's like Resident Evil shit, you know?
Yeah.
It's like when she wakes up but she's just like a clone. It's just like you're doing simulations with real people.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that Thomas Townsend Brown guy.
I don't remember what that one was.
Does anyone else have his wiki pulled up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Stanley, you're an excellent reader. Do the thing. I would skip his biography.
Oh, this is the anti-gravity stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But to like summarize badly, this guy applied electrical current to a vacuum tube in a projector television or whatever, and he observed what he believed were anti-gravity properties, and it was believed to be electrokinesis by his peers.
Electrogravitics. Thomas Townsend Brown.
Yeah. So he actually goes on
in the
later in his
20s.
life to start a career
Right.
with the military too.
So yeah, he
General
tried to-
Motors. Right. So go ahead.
Yeah, he proposed a vehicle to GM, and then he proposed a bunch of different ideas to the United States Navy and military. Where do you want me to start trying to read this off of? Just his biography, his little opening.
I would
bit,
just
the
read
anti-gravity
the, I would read the top, and then biography is probably not the most important part we want.
No, it's hefty. There's probably some tidbits in there that I remember being somewhat relevant, but okay. Thomas Townsend Brown, March 18th, 1905 to October 27th, 1985, was an American inventor whose research into odd electrical effects led him to believe he had discovered a connection between strong electric fields and gravity, a type of anti-gravity effect. Instead of being an anti-gravity force, what Brown observed has generally been attributed to electrohydrodynamics, the movement of charged particles that transfers their momentum to surrounding neutral particles in air, also called ionic drift or ionic wind. For most of Brown's life, he attempted to develop devices based on his ideas, trying to promote them for use by industry and the military. The phenomena came to be called the Biefeld-Brown effect and electrogravitics. In recent years, Brown's research has had an influence in the community of amateur experimenters who build ionic propulsion lifters powered by high voltage. There are still claims that Brown discovered anti-gravity, an idea popular with the unidentified flying object community and spawning many conspiracy theories.
Yes, very true. The guy, I find him really interesting, but he's an example of like these people that work on these advanced propulsion systems and then get commissioned by the government, and then apparently works on radars for some reason. The guy created ionic wind with a fucking or a television vacuum tube, and they're like, "Oh man, this guy should work in radar."
Yeah. Kind of a weird reaction.
Yeah, it's hard to eat that shit up. But yeah, there's people like him. There's even that, I don't know if I believe his story as much though. What's his name? He was on the Joe Rogan podcast too. Super famous.
Oh, really?
Element 115 guy. What's his name?
I don't think I've seen that one.
You guys don't remember? Bob Lazar.
Oh
His
yeah,
name's-
holy fuck!
yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Right, that guy. That guy was fucking his weird anti-gravity thing.
Yeah, which is now I believe called Moscomium.
Yeah, or antimatter. Right, that was his shtick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, his American conspiracy theorist claims to have been hired in late 1980s to reverse engineer extraterrestrial technology. Right, I remember this guy. This was years ago. This became a thing.
Yep.
What he described as a secret site called S4 alleges that this subsidiary installation is located several kilometers south of the U.S. Air Force facility popularly known as Area 51. Claims he examined an alien craft that ran on an antimatter reactor powered by element 115, which at the time had not yet been synthesized. He also claims to have read U.S. government briefing documents that describe alien involvement in human affairs over the past 10,000 years. Lazar's claims resulted in bringing added public attention to Area 51 and fueling conspiracy theories surrounding its classified activities. Lazar has no evidence to support his core claim of alien technology. His story has been analyzed and rejected by skeptics and some UFOologists.
Yeah.
Universities from which he claims to hold degrees show no record of him, and supposed former workplaces have disavowed him. In 1990, he was convicted for his involvement in a prostitution ring, and again in 2006 for selling illegal chemicals.
Yeah.
But also, like, it's really
problem
easy for
with-
the CIA to frame people for all kinds of shit. So you can never
That's-
trust.
That's
Literally
true, but I do tend
just
to
don't
I do tend to doubt people that end up making. I don't know if it's just human nature or whatever. I tend to doubt people who end up like monetizing their story, right? If they're like, "Oh man, I worked for the government reverse engineering UFOs. Come to my talk at UFOCon and buy my book." That's a little
That's true.
different, right? But this guy Thomas Townsend Brown just goes on to have a legitimate career with the military, and
Yeah, he was just doing this kind of on the side and trying to he tried to keep pushing that it was possible that anti-gravity was possible through electricity.
sonic sounding device ring. Yeah. So, anyways, my point was just that you get these stories. I have heard that Bob Lazar was also. It's possible that he was he's like a false flag leak whistleblower, like a false flag whistleblower. So you like release someone who had nothing to do with any of it, but then you do give him money and like a plan to create a life for himself out of it, and then all he has to do is spread misinformation. Actors, they called them bad actors, good actors. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember that.
Misinformationists.
Yeah, disinformation is what it is.
CIA would pay these people exorbitant amounts of money to go and literally
Mhm.
just blow people off of the actual track by presenting all these different ideas that they popularize and play on all kinds of different media just to kind of pull everyone off of whatever scent that they were just recently following in popular
Yeah,
culture.
that's right. And
Yeah.
that's when they go to the news
We-
station and tell the news station, no, that was swamp gas or foil from a blimp.
They're really
We
good at
have all these
derailing the
witnesses.
narrative.
You know, we got all these witnesses. Testify.
Yeah.
Just paid actors, basically.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Let's
Yeah,
take a
that's
let's
why
take a
just-
intermediate break here from the recording.
Man, I want one of these fucking chairs.
And we're recording. We're back.
You back, baby?
Okay. So where did we leave off on the UFO stuff? Second half I really want to focus on getting to the bottom of what we believe these UFO things are. But first, we could talk a little bit more about the history of UFOs. So, pull the UFO stories out of your heads. I know you guys have heard them. You guys have never seen one, personally. Have you?
UFO stories?
Yeah.
I have not seen a UFO myself. And I don't have a lot of stories on them, except for the one that you told
Oh,
me.
you're getting your ass beat.
Well, I mean, there's the Operation High Jump one that Stanley mentioned, right?
Yep.
There's Roswell. There's the Battle of Los Angeles. There's the Betty and Barney Hill abduction story.
You can eat food.
There's a vast majority of the UFO sighting stuff. Everyone watch Stanley talk to his fiance.
Shut up. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Vast
no
majority
sweat.
of UFO sighting stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, no, like I said, the Los Angeles one was the big one that I knew about. I read
Yeah,
about.
and then Operation High Jump is the one that I was first introduced to. That was just like, holy shit, that sounds insane. But then
Right.
there was so many people from the team that actually went there that were making all these testimonies that kept getting shut up and silenced and pushed away. And like the guy would come out and make a statement in public, and then 2 months later he'd redact that statement with. Suddenly he has an escort of military personnel or guys in black suits or something. They're standing beside him, and he's just saying something that's completely different to what he said 2 months earlier. So
Well,
you're like, okay, the dude's being fucking coerced to say something.
For
That's
a
weird.
long time, the vast majority of UFO sightings have went unreported because the vast majority of UFO sightings come from pilots and radar techs. So people that work on radar and people that work on warships and people that work in flying planes for a living. They're the ones that run into these UFOs, and the vast majority of them didn't get reported for a long time because that was the end of your career, right? Now your mental acuity came into question. The military complex or the government wasn't willing to back you up and say, hey, these things are probably a thing. There's the, Project Blue Book that was done after the Roswell. I believe it was after Roswell. Anyways.
Yeah, here you go. Flying Saucers and Project Blue Book.
Yeah. No, so Project Blue Book was a long...
High-speed objects near Mount Rainier in Washington while flying his small plane.
Which has been declassified now. So the declassification from it...
Objects several thousand miles per hour and said they moved like saucers skipping on water. Saucer-shaped, hence the term flying saucer. Mistakenly stated the objects were saucer-shaped, even though he said they were crescent-shaped. Fucking twats. Missile fucking journalizing something.
Yeah. So the pilots and radar technicians have come forward more than ever before. The Pentagon has declassified their research into UAPs and finally admitted that they don't know whose they are or where they come from, right? The possibility of them being extraterrestrial in origin, or in Mr. Stanley's case, subterrestrial, exists for sure. And then there's the idea that it could be time traveling devices, which we're sending back to observe ourselves, because in 1,000 years we're like, what was World War II actually like? So they send these things out. That's where, was it World War II or World War One? Whatever. In the World Wars last century or whatever, there was also the Foo Fighters, right? They were commonly seen in dogfights and wherever there was aerial combat on these combat missions, and they called them Foo Fighters, which meant, fake fighters, so that they're up there and you see them, but you can't engage with them. But they tail and maneuver and follow around fleets of pilots. And so whatever the UFOs are, they do seem to be here with the purpose of observing.
More or
Right.
less, yeah. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
100%. Even if it was just like some sort of like drone satellite sent with one of these warp drives from another planet to observe us and then report back to them, because they could do that relatively instantaneously, and then they could collect data on us and blarty blarty blar.
Probably just waiting for us to become a threat so they can take us out.
There's also stories you hear, like I seem to remember stories about when the Fukushima meltdown happened, that there was a UFO that went over and shot something into the reactors. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that one, but back when that first happened, I heard about that almost instantly that week, and then never anything ever again. But the
Is
idea
it going
that
to be like a really catastrophic event?
the
and
the
then they just
Fukushima
stop
reactor
it?
meltdown, do you not remember this?
I'm very disconnected, Sam.
It
Okay,
affected
very
like
good.
the entire.
Cody's like,
Pacific
dude, I
Ocean.
play Apex.
It was fucking
I'm a
with the fish,
professional
like the
gamer.
marine life all the way across the ocean, and it's affecting fishing all up and down the Canadian coast.
Yeah,
You were getting
yeah, no,
irradiated fish.
this was massive.
Maybe
This was
they-
like modern day Chernobyl. It was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Other than it
Maybe-
wasn't on the same scale, but
Because they seen it going to destroy us. I don't know.
yeah. Well, I mean, the
Why
problem
would
there,
they do that? They did.
yeah. I mean, the problem there was, you know, you got this massive uranium reactor, and you're like, well, we need to keep it cool, and they're like, well, that's okay. We'll just build it near the ocean and run ocean water over it. But then with the
Yeah.
Fukushima reaction, melted down, or just devastating for the world and the ocean. And yeah, and it really probably didn't help with the whole ocean. The ocean's fucked as it is. We're about to destroy the
we're
planet
already-
if we don't
We're
smarten
already
up.
fucking destroying it.
Yeah, coral reefs being bleached in record speeds ever. There's going to be such a lack of biodiversity in the water. All that's going to be left is like Cthulhu and a couple megalodons.
Yeah, the big deep sea life that we haven't even seen yet.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The,
so you guys never heard of the Foo Fighter UFOs, or?
No, I actually haven't.
Wow,
You
this
say
is
Foo
crazy.
Fighter, I thought you were talking about the band. I was like,
That's what they're named after.
Yeah,
They're
I
named
figured
after
it might-
They're named after the Foo Fighters. The Foo Fighters, as Christopher
Foo
Walken would say.
Fighters.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I would like now we could progress into the part. Let's just what do you guys think they are? What do you think UFOs are? Where do you think they come from, and why do you think we see them?
Didn't we do this already?
No, I want specific conclusion from each of you.
No,
Give
try
me
to
your
end it.
yeah.
A conclusive theory at best.
Mm-hmm.
Conjecture.
There's 3 questions: what they are, where they come from, and what was the third one? Or was there 3?
What do you think UFOs are? What do you think they come from? Where's their origin? And then why do you think we see them?
Oh. I don't know.
You don't
man.
really have to worry about the third question
The
if you want to
aliens.
just like Cody's aliens hands down.
Yeah, well, they come from somewhere that's not here, in my opinion. But like you said, they could be time travelers, and they could just be us. But I would say they probably come from somewhere else.
Even if it was us in like 1,000 years, that'd be pretty alien.
Yeah,
Be nuts.
to us for
It's
sure.
a different world.
Yeah, 100%.
Mr. Stanley?
Well, I mean, like I said before, it's extraterrestrial and maybe even subterrestrial life, so we don't even know the extent of other intelligent life in the universe, since the amount of the universe that we can perceive is so goddamn limited. But, like, where they come from? Anybody's guess? They could literally be existing in space parallel to our own at every given moment. They could be occupying our same planet, utilizing energies that we don't even know that we're generating to fuel their lifestyles or their ships or whatever. And that they could be directing our entire existence and we would never know. Right? Like, if you want to jump into theoretics, because there's this whole unobservable reality, this theoretical unobservable reality parallel to our own, anything is really possible.
Right.
It's an entire unknown. Like, it's a mystery.
Oh, I definitely agree that it's a mystery, but I'm just like, give me your best theory, even if it's not possible.
Honestly,
I'll tell you what.
I like the idea of like the theory of a parallel existence, or that there is unobservable space that something else can occupy that we just literally can't see because our brains suck.
Right. Yeah. I don't even think that's too far fetched. Hey, look, I got the watermark.
Hey, look at that.
And it's gone. Yeah. Okay. I'll give you my best idea here. This is what I think. I think that those points are 100% valid and entirely possible. Like, it could just be straight up aliens sending satellites and probes at us. It could be vehicles or apparitions from a dimension of our own universe which we can't perceive. But my favorite like conspiracy theory about it though is that it's just us somewhere already as a civilization. I think we probably already made exotic matter. We probably already have these drives. We've probably already, even if it wasn't ours to begin with, that we've like reverse engineered some from these crafts that we've recovered, and that we've started using them and to test them out, see what they're doing. And it's hard to say when that technology came into our hands, but that I think we probably do that because of people like this Thomas Townsend Brown guy get hired by the government to go, work on radar technician. Sure, we could pretend, but especially when you look into things like the Alcubierre drive, and so many pieces of the puzzle are solved except for the
exotic matter.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's like we could do this, right? It's within the realm of physics to actually accomplish these tasks. And if it was aliens, I would have expected by now to somehow just have like a mass revelation about them, right? Have them just like step out of a ship and be like, boing diddle-oing doing or whatever, that actually have contact, first-hand contact. Whereas if it was us, we'd probably be a little more nefarious, unless of course they're going by like some sort of Star Trek Prime Directive or whatever. But
which would be not to interfere with other life, like lower life form. That could also be an entire thing. Like if there is a civilization that exists that is exploring the known universe. Oh,
goodbye, Stanley.
Goodbye.
Your phone died?
Oh, hey.
There it is. Hey, he's back.
That was weird. It just bugged out for a sec. It's also lower quality now. I don't know if anybody else notices that.
Yeah, it looks fine.
Because my phone is like super heated. I see.
Yeah. Oh, you're overheating.
Yeah, it just makes my camera look uglier.
Yeah, no sweat.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know though, but I think if they were operating on like a prime directive, not trying to affect lower life forms as an extraterrestrial species, that and they had this technology, like then why would they need to get caught all the time by like they just got caught off guard in the Battle of LA? They're like, oh my god, how can they see us? You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe they could just
like if I can.
Maybe they just had a rookie maybe they just had a rookie piloting the ship for a minute and he just fucked up. And like,
or a fleet of ships.
Look, they saw us, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, in the case of Battle of Los Angeles, it's a whole formation of them, right? So it's like it would be an organized effort.
Well, yeah, it could be.
But with imaging, even with like our modern imaging, like imagine if they have like warp drives, like what kind of lenses they have in order to observe us. There would be no reason for them to
need to come close.
Yeah, they wouldn't have to come close and observe. The only reason you would do that is to test a piece of technology like a new plane. And we used to do this when we developed fighter jets anyways. I forget what they call them, but they're a special kind of mission where it's basically like first time they made the B-52 bomber or whatever. It was a super high altitude stealth plane. And when they first released that, the first thing they did was fly it over like Russia, China, right? They're like, hey, let's see what they can do about this. And and those countries panic because they were like, nothing. We can do nothing about this, right? So they take it into enemy airspace where it's observable, where they know they'll be seen, but to test their tech. And it seems like that kind of stuff's been going on for the better part of several decades here. And that it's only happening more and more as our technology increases and we're only seeing more and more. And then now pilots aren't ridiculed for coming forward with their ideas about it. You got the people working on the warships reporting the Tic Tac cases, people working in radar. You got all these people, the Pentagon declassifying it. It's like, I think it's a piece of technology that we probably already have. That's my favorite conspiracy theory about it. It's us, man. We're doing this to ourselves, and then we're bamboozling our own people about it because we're not really ready to, just like the Predator drones or whatever that popped out in Afghanistan. Those are probably like 10 years old at that point. So every brand new piece of high tech that we have, we don't want people to know about generally. And we had to come up with something to beat the whole, because we already made the ultimate weapon, right? The planet destroying bombs, right? So it's like we're ready to fight an alien species, right?
That's like Endgame, so it
Yeah, 100%. We got one
You can say
bomb
we're
that
ready to fight
exists.
an alien species, but if they
Yeah.
have something that could
But-
just disable at a distance, like any sort of long range,
But mutually
interceptive array.
yeah, but our mutually assured destruction is enough to like keep us from actually using those on ourselves, because we're not actually self-destructive species. I tend to generally think, actually, just like we said at the beginning, we're a pretty cooperative species. And anyways, but so if you're going to use technology for warfare in this coming century, it's going to have to be something pretty remarkable. And if you had to use it for stealth, observation, stuff like that, I think having some sort of Alcubierre or something like it drive on a piece of aircraft that we use for ourselves, that would be like your best bet.
That would be so small scale if you had something interplanetary, though. Like, why use it for planetary combat when you can literally just, go to another planet?
because we
Yeah.
haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, but maybe these aren't quite there, right? Like maybe we don't have the fully flushed out Alcubierre drive that can do that, but maybe we do have some sort of drive which lessens the G-force that you experience on a craft or whatever, or creates propulsion through gravity waves. Or there's like a missing piece of the standard model. I would love to think that maybe that's actually not a missing piece on the standard model. Maybe the standard model is complete and they just only let people with the highest level of clearance have access to the rest. Ooh, sorry, Mr. Microphone. They only let people with the highest level of clearance have access to that type of particle, right?
Entirely possible as well.
Yeah. So if we were going with conspiracy theories, yeah, that would be my conspiracy theory. It's just us, man. Fucking around.
That seems very likely, yeah.
I'd say it's still entirely possible that we recovered the technology from a crashed or damaged alien ship, though.
Yeah,
We're just
100%.
reverse engineering and reutilizing it.
And
Used to say
places
any of us
like
were wrong,
Russia-
all things can be true.
Yeah. There's places all over the world where these supposedly crashed UFOs have happened too. And like we wouldn't be the only country that has managed to recover that type of technology. So we could just be basically having a pissing competition with like Russia, China, and all these
I mean,
other
it's
powerful
sort of like how
countries.
No different than going to the
dragons
moon.
appeared in so many cultures simultaneously all over the damn world.
Yeah.
Dragons?
Though there is something to be said about that with just whatever the Jungian archetypes, stuff like that, like serpents, right? Dragons are scary, right? It's like take everything humans are afraid of in the most primitive way. Take like fire, take snakes, take something with claws, or like a lion
Something that can
with
go in
sharp
the
teeth
sky.
and
You-
sharp teeth and claws, and it breathes fire, and it can fly. It has bat wings. It's not like a normal bird, so it's like, and there used to be during human times, there was birds that were big enough to prey on us, right? Those have also all died or whatever. You just take all those things mixed together, boom, you got dragons, for the most part. But and then obviously the dragons look a little bit different in each culture too. So there's something to be said about just archetypes doing it. But I mean, it would be maybe it's alien dragons, man, draconians.
Yeah, maybe. And we were
Yeah.
invaded once. That's
Yeah,
why
that's
there's
right.
that fear.
That's why I look like this. Okay.
Lizard people are real. We're all actually the lizard people. We just don't know it.
Okay, guys. This has been a fun one. I've been really pleased with the podcast so far. Episode 7's a big milestone for me because I was pretty sure this wouldn't continue at one point, but here we are. I like doing this at least once a week,
Yeah, it's fun.
and yeah, 100%.
Then are we doing Gladio next week? Is that going to be the
Next week we're
agenda?
doing Operation Gladio, unless I decide to change my mind. But I thought because Operation Gladio is not actually much of a conspiracy.
Yeah, it's more of a known thing that is done.
Yeah, it's more like a declassified operation ran by
Yeah.
the NATO. So I thought I'd do something really conspiracy based for this one and just have some fun with it and do UFOs, because UFOs are super interesting and filled with conspiracy theories. So I thought we'd just have fun with it.
It's fun to just like have a space for infinite hypotheticals as well.
Yeah,
You just get
100%.
to brainstorm for a few minutes and just say some crazy shit. It's a good time.
Yeah, that's all I ever do with my life. I'm pretty useless. Okay. My name's SamwellKrom. This has been Conspiracy Gamers, episode number 7. If you like this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Hit that little bell. Make sure you get all the notifications. Leave a comment telling me what you want me to talk about or you want us to talk about on this podcast. We'd be more than willing to talk about anything, no matter how ridiculous it is. As long as it's not like a flying bag of dicks in the sky, I think we'll be doing pretty good.
I'll talk about the flying spaghetti monster.
That's not a... Okay. Anyways.
Close
So
enough.
yeah. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch. I live stream pretty regularly. I'm trying to get a lot better about it. SamwellKrom on Twitch, SamwellKrom on Instagram, and SamwellKrom on YouTube. You guys have anything you want to support? Promote?
Check out Chancy Gaming on Twitch. I will get back to that eventually.
Excellent. Mr. Stanley?
No, reiterate plugging SamwellKrom on Twitch. He's really funny. Watched him play Limbo. It's great. He sucks.
Funny look.
I'm probably going to release a compilation of me dying on Limbo because that was fantastic. All right, everyone.
It was pretty great.
Peace out.